welcome everyone to Trojans Live on ESPN LA 710 and Facebook Live. We are live on Facebook again. We apologize last week. There were some technical issues, but you can fire away with your questions, and hopefully we can get some on the broadcast as we break down all the topics around the tough defeat in South Bend last Saturday. We got the head coach here, Clay Helton, joining us momentarily. Stephen Mitchell, Sean Cody will be later in the show, as will men's golf head coach Chris Zambri. I am Jordan Moore alongside John Jackson. JJ, your initial takes, man, where'd it go wrong on Saturday?
Well, I just don't think that the Trojans got off to a great start, obviously. And so whenever you're on the road and things don't go right early, then, of course, you're susceptible to those things to happen. And, you know, give credit to Notre Dame. I mean, they were able to execute. They made some big plays in the passing game, which is one thing that we sort of knew going in. If they were able to be efficient throwing the ball, it could be trouble for the Trojans because of their strong run game, and you had to commit so many guys to stopping the run. So when they hit a couple big plays early, I think that sort of got them off on the right track, and they never looked back.
All right, let's hear it from the coach. Trojan fans, get one free admission to the Ralph's Ultimate Tailgate Experience at select USC football home games this fall when you purchase $35 of participating items at Ralph's. Look for the signs and tags in store. Every $35 you spend gets you one admission. All right, Coach, I mean, that certainly was a tough one. JJ took it from the top, so maybe we'll start there. Actually started all right. 3 and out. You had him backed up. You get a punt. You had the ball in plus territory. Would you like to play that game again and see what would have happened if you don't fumble on the first play? I mean, how much did that sap the confidence of the team, just affect the general energy and mood of the sideline?
Yeah, I think anytime you're on the road and you have some errors like we did in the first half, especially 3 turnovers that lead to 28-0 at halftime, it's hard to dig out of that hole. And the fact of the matter is, I'm just like JJ, credit Notre Dame. I thought they had a wonderful game plan. Kids executed and played extremely well, and we didn't have our best night, both offensively and defensively, from physical beats to some mistakes that ended up costing us. So we win as a team and we lose as a team, and last night we lost as a team.
You know, when you look at the game, and obviously these games a lot of times will have situations when you watch on film, it's a lot different than what you thought was happening in the game. How much of that happened today for you and the coaches meeting with the players in terms of what happened on Saturday? What we thought was happening might not have been the true picture of what happened.
Well, I thought defensively 3 things happened. One, you know, having a bye week, they put in some new schemes, which I thought their kids ran extremely effective. Had a couple new wrinkles that Clancy adjusted to going into halftime, and you know, then. The second thing was anytime that you have those longer runs, usually it's from a loss of gap control, especially we were pressuring. We were playing a lot of one high in that, and all of a sudden one guy gets out of a gap and then a run goes. And the last thing was the quarterback. I thought Wimbush played unbelievable football and really hurt us, not only with his legs on design runs, but what really was the one that cut us is when it was 2nd and long and 3rd and long, and nothing was there in the pass game, and he pulls it down, and he was able to get the first. Those are the ones you grind your teeth and go, gosh, dog, those are the ones you wish you had back.
Yeah, stay with that gap control because you've mentioned that a couple times, but I sort of want you to explain it maybe in a little bit more detail for people. I mean, is it a case of the linebackers or safeties coming up, or is it maybe a defensive lineman that gets out of his lane?
It could be either or, and it was both in the game as we had our opportunity, and they did a nice job of using a lot of that, what I call eye candy, with the fly motion sweeps or faking a reverse, and all of a sudden you just jump out of a gap just for a second, and with those 2 runners, it can create big holes, and they don't need a lot of space, both runners. So it was one of those things. It was both defensive line and linebackers at times, and then there was a couple times schematically they had the right play dialed up against the defense that we called.
You know, the one thing that the Trojans have done well for the first half of the season was control of the line of scrimmage, especially from the defensive line and offensive line standpoint. But against Notre Dame, it just seemed different. What can you point to in terms of, you know, our guys not having their best night as you talk about?
Yeah, you know, I already talked about the defense and what it was. Offensively, going back and watching the tape, we had some physical beats. There wasn't as many assignments. When they're tackling us in the backfield the first half, I was like, man, we must have had a missed assignment in some. But when you go back and watch the tape, there were just some physical beats. Their kids played extremely well, and we can play better. And we can play better, and our kids know it. They came in with a very workmanlike attitude today. They know where we're at. They know what's the opportunities ahead, and they're looking forward to trying to improve this week.
Yeah, stay with it on the offensive side. You have talked since you took this job. You want to play power football. That's SC football. That's in your DNA. But if Ronald, your bell cow back is at 2.7 yards per carry through 12 carries is what he finished the game with. I mean, at a certain point, are you counting down to kickoff with Mito? Swiss watches since 1918, the official timekeeper of USC Athletics. Be the first to own the Fight On limited edition timepiece. True Trojan fans visit shopmito.com/USC. That's shopmito, MIDO.com/USC. Coach, you never want to suffer a defeat like that, but I've heard many coaches say that it's a lot easier to coach when you're coming off a game because it's humbling and the kids' ears are open. You get the sense from your team that they are ready to get better this week? I
think humble was the word, and you could feel that from the players. They came right back to work today, and you felt it in the locker room afterwards. I mean, hearing the comments about, hey, we got to move on. We don't have enough time. We got to go win the Pac-12 South, and that's what it's all about. I mean, we're in kind of a round-robin tournament right now over the next 2 weeks between Arizona State and Arizona, and coming against a good Arizona State club right now that's red hot.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I want to talk about is, from a coaching standpoint, where does it come from? I mean, ASU we were marking, as a fan, we were marking this off as, okay, we'll breeze through ASU and then on to the rest of the schedule. But now they become probably maybe the toughest opponent left on the schedule.
Yeah, credit to Coach Graham, has done a wonderful job of holding their kids together, and they're an older bunch. I mean, there's a lot of older kids from the two running backs to Manny Wilkins to the entire defense is junior and seniors. They got a lot of pride in that, and they're really playing strong. They've been a bunch that's really started out really fast each and every year, and now they're really making a great push down the stretch here, and it goes right back to they're doing a great job of running the ball with the two backs and playing good team defense right now.
I want to get into a fan topic here, seeing a lot of people talking about it, and that's physicality in practice. And what's the balance that you have? You get into the grind this part of the season. You got a lot of banged up players. You were just talking about it. How physical do you go in practice knowing, hey, these guys got to stay sharp, they got to tackle, which is always a problem, but they also, if you start losing guys in practice, you don't have them for Saturday.
Yeah, actually, for the last 2 weeks now, we've had to work good on good, basically, and service each other because our numbers have been down, and then it's always a fine line that you have to be with your team, and this was one of those years. I've never been in a season where there was no bye. You're going 12 weeks straight plus 5 training camp weeks, so 17 weeks basically straight with your football team, and you have to manage the health of your football team, and there's a fine line. And whether we're going live blitz periods, whether we're going 9-on-7, really going good on good for 2 periods on a Tuesday, we bring that physicality each and every week, and I credit the kids. They work really, really hard through it. They try to practice with each other, try to stay off each other with cut blocking and things like that. But it's a very fine line, and especially where we are right now, having had so many injuries this season.
When you talk about ASU again, they have a new offensive coordinator, which it's similar system than what they've ran in the past, but it has a little bit variation to it. What are you seeing from them? I mean, we talked about a couple of their players that are sort of key from that standpoint, but at a coaching standpoint, how much can you gather on a new offensive coordinator when you face him for the first time?
Yeah, the good thing is we're late in the season here. So we've had the opportunity to scout 7 ball games, and you get a feel for his personality, his philosophy, and he's doing a really good job of leaning on his strengths, which is they're running the ball very nicely with Richards and Balaj, and then coming back, and Manny is doing a tremendous job of getting it to N'Keal Harry. I mean, you can tell that they're targeting him. They're also doing a good job of moving him around, so it's hard to find him. Sometimes he's in the slot, sometimes he's a Z, sometimes he's the X, and they move him around. That's their go-to guy in the passing game. You can tell how much faith he has in him. So they're doing a nice job running the ball and then trying to throw it over your head.
And defensively, they really turned their whole season around by shutting down a Washington offense, which was we know is talented, was running through everybody, and boy, they really turned their water off in that game in Tempe. Just is it classic Todd Graham, just ultra aggressive on that side of the football, or have they changed things up a little bit?
They've been a little bit more a little bit more simple, Simon, letting their kids play. It's you can tell it's got Coach Bennett's hands on it, but there's still some areas in the red zone on third downs. You can see Coach Graham with zero blitz coming. But their kids really have gone into Coach Bennett's system and really picked it up. You see them progress each and every week, and over the last 3 weeks between Oregon, Washington, and Utah, they're playing their best football, and they just line up and play. They're not scared to bring pressure at times, and then what really got Washington was the ability to drop eight at any time, and the 3 rushers were still getting home. So quality front, quality scheme, and kids believe in it, and they're playing good for them.
You put Jack Jones back at the punt returner for the first time. Of course, he muffed the punt, and we get it. He dropped the punt. That's on him. But he did have some pretty good returns. Are you liking what you're seeing from the change that you're getting from him?
Yeah, the number one thing that we have to do, whether it's a J&A, whether it's Jack, is the ability to always give it back to the offense. And that's one of the things that we're preaching to both kids as they both improve during practice is making sure we make great decisions, picking that pitch to hit, and then if you pick it, make something of it. And that's one of the things that you did see from Jack is there was a flash there where he ended up averaging, I think, 14 yards a return. Obviously, the decision to fair catch was okay. It's right there, 9-10 yard line. So you got to make that. You got to make that fair catch, which is fine. And now just make the play.
A guy whose season I was so excited for this year was Daniel Meterbebe. I thought he would be a Mackey Award candidate. It's been a bad luck season for him. I mean, he's been banged up. He has been back 2 games now, though, but ultra quiet. Is he somebody you think that can get going, or is he just sort of doing the best he can out there?
No, in that last game with as much cover 4 as we were facing, and it's a hard inside receiver day when you're playing cover 4 because you're actually doubled with the inside backer as well as the safety over top. So as you saw, it was an outside receiver day. It was
tight
just
ends were quiet.
Yeah. So, but he did played more than he did 2 weeks ago, and felt better last week and performed better. So I'm hoping down this stretch here that we can see him and get him in open space.
Well, it begins on Saturday. USC against Arizona State in Tempe, 7:45 p.m. It's going to be a late one, a little Pac-12 after dark. The game will be on ESPN, though, so you'll all be able to see it. Cooper Tires knows that the 4 tires in your vehicle are what connect you to the road and help keep you safe. Count on Cooper and visit CooperTires.com today. Well, Coach said that last week was a receiver day, and it certainly was. A lot of targets for this guy, Stephen Mitchell, and got back in the end zone. He's had a tremendous comeback season. The senior is next on Trojans Live.